There's some extraordinary things happening in the Biden campaign. Poll just came out this morning, Krystal, from the New York Times.
Yeah.
Sienna, Trump is actually winning with young voters. Every poll that we look at shows Trump leading in swing states, shows Biden losing, shows Biden at the lowest level for approval ever in the modern American presidency, including Jimmy Carter. And yet, his campaign is completely calm. Here is a journalist who embedded with the Biden campaign describing their state of mind right now. Let's take a listen.
The central article of faith that I heard over and over for the last 6 months, really, as I've been asking this question, which is what is the plan here, is that voters just aren't really paying attention in the way that they're going to a year from now when it actually comes time to vote, or 11 months from now. The point that I heard repeated over and over again is that once real Americans, real people who are currently not thinking about politics at all, once they lock into the fact that this is going to be another election where Donald Trump is on the ballot, everything is going to change. That's going to change for young voters. It's going to change for voters of color. It's going to change for really the Biden coalition. Now, I heard this over and over while Biden's numbers were tanking, to make a long story short, and not to sugarcoat it. But their argument is that if you look at polls, if you look at focus groups, real people who, are the people who vote in elections simply aren't. It's not just that they're not paying attention yet. They don't even understand that Trump is going to come back in a year on the ballot, and that the major threat is there. So that's why the Biden campaign has started keying in on Trump more, talking about what a second term would look like.
I have a lot of questions about that. Real people don't realize Trump is going to come back. Really? I don't think that's true. It's like, have more faith in the American public. Maybe they know that, they just don't care nearly as much as you do. And they're like, well, when they find out the stakes, it's maybe going to flip on a dime. That's a pretty big bet to make. It's certainly possible. Let's put this one, please, up on the screen. This is the actual profile that he wrote. The alarming calm of the Biden campaign inside re-election HQ. The president's aides feel confident the 2024 race is totally under control. But what sticks out to me is just abortion. It is very clear to me. They say beyond the economy and Trump's lean into fascism, he declined to give, it is abortion that is most likely to play a fundamental role in shaping the electorate. Democrats have made it a centerpiece of their argument, and Trump was crowing about the end of Roe. Ron DeSantis also asked about it, and they point to consistently the underperformance on the ballot of these abortion state measures for the reason why they remain hopeful. I think, again, that is a good case. I think it remains probably the only case as to how Biden will get reelected. But then at the same time, Krystal, I look at a New York Times Siena poll which shows Donald J. Trump leading with young voters from 18 to 34. And I see RFK Jr., who was sitting at this desk just last week, and he's leading amongst young voters. And I think about who he could take votes away from and the level of chaos. And so I could see it every single way. I could see a Trump blowout win, a Trump blowout loss. I could see a Biden, a marginal edge. I could see Biden winning but not getting the popular vote, or at least the smallest share because of someone like RFK. I just think this is a hell of a thing to gamble on, but it fits with Biden's career. He's stoic, and he's an egomaniac. He believes most in himself, and he's like, the American people will come to me and to see, the benefits and why Trump is so bad. But there's not a lot of data to support that right now.
It's wild to me. They start this piece with a presentation that Biden campaign operatives were giving to some other political operatives who'd been associated with the Obama campaign. And these Obama campaign people were like, wait, you don't have, you're not pushing the panic button. You don't have any more of a plan than this. I mean, part of their plan is literally just an assumption that Biden's numbers are going to get better. They say in this piece, the Biden strategy assumes that his poll numbers will get a cyclical improvement. Why?
Oh, yeah.
That just doesn't happen. I mean, maybe typically or usually or whatever, but you're not going to do anything to try to make that happen. And you're out here telling everybody, this is a profound threat to democracy. And the whole reason Biden's running again is because of Trump and what a unique risk he is, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're just like, everybody relax. All of these poll numbers, one after another, that show Biden losing in literally every single swing state, and bleeding support, by the way, from his own base. You're just cool with that? You think it's just naturally going to revert? Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. Maybe the polls are wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe once people dial in on Trump or whatever, or they're reminded of how obnoxious and chaotic he is, or maybe the criminal charge. Maybe, but you're not doing anything really to try to effectuate that outcome. I do think one thing that they point to, which seems like a pretty obvious failure to me, is, that Obama campaign back in 2012 against Mitt Romney, They actually ran a brilliant strategy. They got out extremely early. It was risky because they blew a lot of cash early, defining Mitt Romney for the public as this out-of-touch billionaire, and it worked. It stuck. It worked. Romney's personality sort of played into that. He made a number of horrific gaffes on the campaign trail, et cetera, that really cemented that image. They've done very little to even remind people of, if your whole thing is like, I'm better than the other guy and you may not love me, but Trump is horrific, like, why aren't you amplifying some of the things about Donald Trump that you think are horrific? Why aren't you talking more about the criminal charges, the fact that this dude could very well be found guilty and be put in prison? You know, if that's your angle, if you're running on, you know, the lesser of two evils and that's your whole thing, which has always been their whole thing rather than an affirmative agenda, you better start leaning into that and making that case, because people aren't feeling that in the way that they perhaps used to feel that. They say in this piece that if the campaign has an unofficial motto, it might be, quote unquote, calm the F down, trust the process, and vote for Joe Biden one more time. Really inspiring stuff there, guys.
Yes.
Really, really dialed in on the American public right now.
That ought to do it, I think. And again, to highlight this, let's please, the mammoth polling that we have, can we put it up there on the screen? The job approval rating is at an all-time low. 34% approve, 61% disapprove. That's crazy. And, you know, on the issues, I really think this highlights a big discussion we had yesterday about immigration. Can we put this up there, please, about the overall ones? On infrastructure, 42% actually approve, 52% disapprove. Jobs, 42% approve, 53% disapprove. Climate change, 38% approve, 54% disapprove. Go to the next one, and these are arguably the most important. Inflation, 28% approve, 68% disapprove. Immigration, 26% approve, 69%. I mean, these are fatal numbers. Inflation and immigration is gonna be the number one issue that Trump talks about, that he's got the best ground on, and inflation is gonna be the number one thing that is on Americans' minds. Now, will abortion, where he does certainly hold a double-digit lead, will that be able to trump everything else? It worked in 2018. Now, will it work in 2022? Will it work in 2024? It's just the most open question. And as you pointed out too on the Obama campaign, the reason the Obama people are aghast is, you know, they would never take this for granted. They would never believe it all on the line up until some, you know, magic thing will carry you across the finish line. The way that you really win and you do well, I think at really anything, is that you attack it always as if the stakes are existential, especially when you're in a one-on-one context. You should be working as hard as you are today, hard as you can today, as you would the day before the election, because you could win somebody over here, you can win somebody over here. You know, you can. It's like death by 1,000 or winning by 1,000 cuts, I guess you would say. But they just seem resigned to this, and that's just a tremendously risky strategy. It's just not the way that really high-functioning and good people would operate anything, a business, a campaign, or whatever that you're trying to do in life.
Yeah, and the big shift over the past 2 months has been among Democratic base voters, and in particular among young voters who, you know, have a lot of issues they're concerned about, but their view on Israel is diametrically opposed to the Biden policy on Israel. And so that's part of what has contributed to this New York Times Siena poll that just came out, which I think Counterpoints will probably cover in depth tomorrow. But voters between 18 and 29, nearly 3/4 of them disapprove of the way that Biden is handling the conflict in Gaza. Among registered voters, they say they would vote for Trump by 49 to 43. That's young voters going for Trump by 6 points. And it's not like that's been that way forever. Back in July, just over this summer, those same young voters were backing Biden by 10 percentage points. So we went from a 10 percentage point lead with young voters to a 6-point loss among young voters. And, you know, they interview some of these young voters in this piece. A number of them say, listen, I'm not gonna vote for Trump, but I just may stay home. One of them was like, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but they were like, I'm unhappy with Biden over Israel. I might vote for RFK Jr. Their positions are not actually apparently different.
It's a protest vote.
Yeah, it is. It's a protest vote. And also, you know, people aren't always paying attention to the ins and outs of what everybody's position is. They just feel like this is disgusting, what's unfolding right now. I may as well try something different, even if the professed views are not all that, you know, not all that different. Because the truth of the matter is Trump, Biden, and RFK Jr. are more or less lockstep in terms of Israel, with different sort of like rhetorical flourishes, perhaps.
Yeah. I just think that this is the most precarious and crazy situation proceeding into election that we have seen since '92. And the stakes are so much higher today than they were in 1992. At that time, honestly, not all that much would have changed, regardless whether Bush or Clinton or would have won. Although Perot would have been.
Perot would have been different.
Honestly, yeah, he was man.
What a missed opportunity to block NAFTA.
He would have been a fantastic president, but it probably was never on the table. But I think that the stakes today have literally, I mean, I know everybody says it in terms of why you should vote for me. When I say high, just in terms of the tremendous uncertainty in the global system and for the American future and the variety of directions that we could go. And I just have no idea sitting here because of such a high number of like variable outcomes that actually could.
Yeah, we're at a very chaotic pivot point, and that's why it really matters who the next leader is and, you know, the direction they take to that. And yeah, it would be nice if we had some more inspiring choices than what we do. Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.